There is a huge misunderstanding of what it takes to be rich and wealthy. We see so many celebrities and so many athletes as examples of wealth that we think that we have to have some unique talent, some unique skill, or a huge level of intelligence to actually get rich. Nothing could be farther from the truth. There's so many multi-millionaires, there's so many billionaires that none of us know about, that none of us ever hear about, that are living their life at the highest level of wealth, but just because they're not celebrities and they're not well known, we think they don't exist. So here's the question: what does it actually take to become wealthy? Well, there's 10 rules that all wealthy people follow that poor people and broke people never learn or never care to learn about, that keeps them where they're at. And one of the reasons they never go to learn it is because, again, they have this misconception that you need a unique level of talent or unique level of ability to even get into the arena. But most rich people, most wealthy people are people who made okay money, good money in some cases. Some of them made a lot of money, but most of them made okay or good money. They just knew what to do with it that the others didn't know, that took them to that next level. And in today's video, I'm gonna share with you those 10 secrets so you can get the wealth and get the riches that you deserve. My name is Nima Attar. I've been in the financial industry since I was 19 years old. And over the last 10 to 11 years, my major focus has been to spread financial literacy across North America, to educate individuals on financial concepts that we should have learned in middle school and high school. But unfortunately, no one cared to teach us. And in today's video, I'm gonna go over the most important rules and most important concepts that everyone should learn. But I want you to know this is not financial advice. This is not investment advice. These are just concepts that is important to know. And when it comes to what you should do with your money specifically, I highly recommend you sit down with a professional who can go over exactly where you're at, what your goals are, and based on your unique circumstances, can give you exact, deep financial advice. Make sure you watch until the end of this video because all these 10 concepts are so crucial, and the last few are ones that you really don't want to miss. Let's get right into it. The first rule that wealthy people understand and follow is the importance of being financially literate. It's no secret. If you want to be a doctor, you have to study medicine. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to study law. If you want to be amazing when it comes to fitness and health, you got to study fitness and health. So then what do you need to study if you want to be wealthy and financially free? You have to study how money works. If you don't know how money works, if you don't educate yourself on these concepts, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're never going to achieve the goals you've set for yourself. And there's so many stories of athletes that made millions of dollars in their career, of actors and actresses that made millions of dollars in their career, but they have nothing to show for it, because making money is a skill, but keeping money and growing money is also a skill. And if you don't learn both, you're not going to actually build the wealth you need to build. Here's the second rule that wealthy people, rich people, people who understand how money works follow to the T. They get greedy when the marketplace becomes fearful, and they get fearful when the marketplace becomes greedy. This is one of the famous concepts that Warren Buffett gets across all the time. And the key here is you can't give into the two fears that lose people money. The first fear that loses people money, FOMO, fear of missing out. They see crypto go up and they go crazy. They go, I gotta go buy crypto. They see real estate go up and they go, I gotta go buy real estate. They see stocks go up, they go, I gotta go buy stocks. Even if they know nothing about these investments, they run towards it because they see their friends and family members and all these other people getting rich, and they have a fear of missing out. The problem with this behavior is that, one, you're rushing into something just based on an emotion, not based on logic and understanding. And you're gonna make a mistake most likely because remember, what goes up must come down. So you go and buy this stuff at an all-time high. This is a great example when it comes to crypto. So many people don't even talk about crypto when the crypto markets are down. No one even brings the word up. As soon as the crypto market starts going up, people start going out, oh my God, Bitcoin, Ether, I gotta go and buy it, I gotta get rich. If I don't buy it now, it's gonna go to $1 billion and everyone's gonna be billionaires except me. And they go freak out and they go buy the crypto at an all-time high. They ignored it when it was 80% down. No one talked about it back then because who cares? I mean, it's 80% down, it's probably gonna go down to zero. But as soon as it goes up 10x, 100x, people start to go invest. How does that even make sense? And if you look at the trend, crypto has a beautiful trend of it goes up and it goes right down and then it goes up again. So one time, two times you make that mistake. Okay, the third time you gotta look at it and be like, you know what? Maybe this time I'm not gonna buy it at an all-time high. I'm not gonna give into this FOMO. I'll wait until it drops and I'll buy it at a low. Remember, the concept of making money is to buy low and sell high. Whether that's doing business, whether that's investing, whatever it is. If I buy something at a low price, then I can sell it at a higher price, and the difference in that is what I make. But so many people do the exact opposite because of these two fears. They buy high, they sell low. So we talked about why they buy high, it's the FOMO. Well, why do people sell low? Because of fear of loss. When something starts going down, whether it's real estate, crypto, whatever type of investment you can think of, whatever vehicle you're thinking of, people start thinking it's gonna go down all the way to zero. In 2008, 2009 was the greatest opportunity to get rich. Why? Because the market was crashing, everything was falling, everything was down 40, 50%, and you could have gone in and bought at a huge discount, and when the market went back up, you could have sold. Same thing during the initial stages of COVID in 2020. Around March, when the lockdowns came in, markets dropped 35, 40%. Well, why didn't anyone buy then? Because they had a fear of loss. So not only they didn't buy because they thought, oh my God, it's gonna keep going down. In 2008, they thought the financial crisis and financial markets are gonna go to zero, capitalism is dead. In 2020, they thought we're gonna be locked in our houses forever, all businesses are gonna go bankrupt. That fear of loss kept people from taking action. And not only did it keep them from buying low, it also forced some people emotionally to sell low. But see, both of those are coming from fear. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Next time you have those fears, and we're all gonna have it because we're human, educate yourself, get the right information, talk to the right people, and make wise decisions. So you're not doing what everyone does that loses money, whereas buy high, sell low. You're doing what you should do, which is buy low, sell high. Here's the third rule and concept that is very simple, but so few people follow it. Wealthy people have learned to save first and spend later, whereas the general population tends to spend first and hope they can save later. See, there's two types of expenses we all have. We have fixed expenses and we have variable expenses. Variable expenses are things like grocery, are things like our phone bill. Fixed expenses are things like our car payments, our mortgage, our rent, whatever. Fixed expenses generally don't change. Variable expenses tend to be up and down based on the month and based on what we do with our spending. You have to make savings part of your fixed expenses. If you think about it, when it comes to your fixed expenses, you almost never miss them. You always find a way to pay rent. You always find a way to pay your mortgage. You always find a way to make your car payments and pay your car insurance because you know it's there and you manage and plan for it and you manage your variable expenses in a way that the fixed expenses are always gonna go through. You need to make savings a fixed expense so that it's something that comes out of your account without you even realizing it, without you even seeing it, so that you don't have to be panicking about, am I gonna have enough to save this month? So my recommendation, if you haven't already, look into ways you can do a monthly contribution, a weekly contribution into an investment that you understand, that you trust, that you know is gonna work for you, and let that go without you even seeing it. That's gonna make your saving effort so much easier because it takes the willpower side of it, it takes the decision-making side out of it, and it just goes without you realizing it. And naturally, you're gonna manage your expenses in a way where you can make this new fixed payment and bill go through just like your other ones. Here's the fourth concept, and it's so important. They value being rich more than looking rich. And this is almost completely opposite to what you're seeing on social media nowadays, to what celebrities and athletes do out there, because it seems like everyone's flaunting their wealth and everyone is doing their best to look as rich as possible, but we don't actually know how many of them are rich. We don't actually know how much savings they really have, how much wealth they have. Now, I hope they do. I hope they have the right people around them that are giving professional advice. But I can understand how many people, especially young people, are on these apps, are on these different platforms, and they're thinking, in order for me to be rich, I need to buy all the watches, the cars, the houses, show it off. It's actually the complete opposite. All the people that I know who are wealthy, including myself, are actually very good at managing their spending and investing in the right areas and reducing as much spending and liabilities as possible. Look, I've been making about 7 figures since I was 27. But if you look at the way I spend my money, I'm very conservative when it comes to putting money into liabilities, and I'm very, very aggressive when it comes to investing money into things that I know are gonna grow in the future. I bought this Rolex watch in 2020 when I had just hit 250,000 of income. And at that point, that was just kind of a reward for myself for hitting a milestone. Even though I've made a significant amount of money per year since then, my income exponentially grew every year since then. I think the next year I was close to 7 figures, and then after that I was at 7 figures, and it's continued to grow since then, thank God. I still haven't bought another watch Because to be honest, as much as I enjoy the beauty of a Rolex or AP or all these other nice watches out there, I can't bring myself to put that much money, it doesn't matter how much money I have, to put that much money in something that is probably gonna lose value, or at least it's not gonna gain as much value as something else. This is called opportunity cost. Sure, some people are like, well, Nima, these Rolexes and APs, over time, they go up in value. Even if that was true. Now, I don't know if that's actually true because many watch dealers that I talk to don't seem to agree with that. But even if that was true, compared to what? If I put that same $100,000 in a different investment that can grow at 20% a year, 10% a year, even 8% a year, wouldn't it be significantly better than letting it sit in that watch that's not gonna do anything? Now, if you're someone who's passionate about watches, it's your favorite thing, fair enough. You make a lot of money, you wanna spend on it, go ahead. Same with cars, same with other stuff. But for me, watches and cars are not that significant. They're not that big of a deal. Yeah, sure, I'm probably gonna buy a lot more watches as time goes on just because it might be something that I wanna get into. Maybe I won't, time will tell. But at this point, I'd rather just invest my money. I'd rather keep building wealth because for me, money is a resource. It's like an ammo, and when you go to war, the more ammo you have, the more likely you are to win the war compared to your competition. So if you're someone that has a lot of money, you got a lot of investments, you got a lot of options. And there's opportunities that come that you can take advantage of when you have that kind of savings, when you have that kind of investments, that the person who put all their money in watches and cars won't be able to do. So for me, I'm always thinking 10, 15, 20 years ahead because the objective for me is to be wealthy and to spread that wealth in a way that can make the world a better place, not just look rich to show off and for some people to go, oh my God, look at what he has, look at what she has. No, that's not a big deal to me. Now, again, I'm not saying don't spend your money. I'm not saying don't. I spend a lot of money in the things that I enjoy. I love traveling and I spend a lot of money on traveling, for example. But I'm just making a point. Get away from this thing that we all have of wanting to look rich and wanting to get recognition for our success and get focused on building a type of life that you're gonna be proud of and you're gonna live in peace with. Here's the next concept, and this one is so important, but so few people actually pay attention to it. Wealthy people understand the value of protecting their most important assets, and it's not their car, it's not their iPad, it's not their iPhone, it's themselves. Look, nothing is going to get you to wealth other than you. Meaning, if you're gonna save a lot of money and invest it in the right areas, you have to be able to make the money to save and invest in the right areas. But if God forbid something happens to us where we can't work the way we used to, whether it's a disability that happens or an illness that happens, what happens then? If you have a family and you're the breadwinner, you're the person that brings the income in, if something happens to one of the family members, how does that affect the ability for everyone else in that family to make income? Because some people, he listens to us and they go, okay, that makes sense. So if the mom and dad are making money, they need insurance because if God forbid something happens to them, they need to be protected. Totally right, and they are priority. But we also have to remember that even children, even young adults are in a way a huge component to their parents' ability to make money. Because if God forbid something happens to a child, if God forbid something happens to a young person and their parents are obviously emotionally invested in them, they love them so much, do you think those parents are gonna be able to work the same way they used to? Are they gonna have the same motivation to go to their job or their business? Are they gonna have the same mental health? Of course not. So protecting yourself goes so many ways. On one side, you gotta protect your ability to earn income. And that's where disability insurance, critical illness insurance, and those types of insurances come into play. On another side, you gotta protect yourself for your family, whether you're a young person and you have parents that you wanna retire one day, or whether you're an older person who has kids and mortgages and you need to make sure you protect those liabilities. It's so important. And I see so many people that get Apple Care and they get insurance for their iPads and iPhones and they get car insurance and they're totally fine paying for those, but they don't get insurance on themselves, on the most important asset. And there's so many stories that I've seen, especially being in the insurance industry, in the investment industry, of people who didn't have the right protection. They had so much potential, they had so much talent, they were making things happen, they were go-getters, you knew they were gonna be wealthy, you could just see it. But unfortunately, something happened to them at a time that they didn't expect, and all that hard work went to waste. Make sure you're not in that position. Make sure you're protecting yourself, not just for you, but also for your family. It's a small cost that takes a huge worry and paranoia and burden off your shoulder. But wealthy people totally understand that, and they get insurance, and they get insurance not just for themselves, but for their children, for all the family members, because they know life can happen in an instant, and they don't want to leave that to chance. Here's rule 6 that all wealthy people follow to a T, but again, so few people even think about or even see as a possibility. We just talked about protecting your most important asset, which is you. But here's the next part. You gotta invest in your most important asset, which is you. This is one of the things that I learned at a young age that took me to that next level. I realized in order to have more, I have to become more. Success is not something you chase. What you chase evades you. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And I realized at a young age, and I'm so grateful that I realized this at a young age, that if I learn more, I grow more, I become more, I can give more. If I give more, I'm naturally gonna have more. That's how the marketplace rewards you. Here's my question. Are you investing in yourself? Because you're the greatest investment. Are you learning new things? Are you getting different licenses that can produce you different incomes in different industries? Are you increasing your knowledge in different ways? If not, maybe today, maybe this message is the inspiration you need to invest in yourself more and take care of the goose that's laying the golden eggs for you, which is you. Rule number 7, and this ties into rule number 6, but I want to go deeper on it and make it as another reminder for you. Increase your cash flow. Of course, saving money, investing money is totally important. But the more you have to invest, the faster you're going to get to your financial goals and the more you're going to have when it comes to retirement. And if you live in North America, there's so many opportunities that you can do on the side of your full-time job, on the side of your career, with minimal risk of losing that job, of losing that security, that can help you increase your income. Even if you make an extra $500, even if you make an extra $300, that can be the extra amount that you need to make to put towards your retirement to get there faster. But there's so many people in my business that I've seen. There's so many stories. If I wanted to go through all the stories, it would take me 3-4 hours to do so. Of people that came to make extra income, they had a great full-time job, they enjoyed it, and the extra income that they made, which was significant for a lot of them, went towards their retirement. A lot of these people were able to replace their full-time income with us on a part-time basis, and many of them transitioned full-time to expand their income and to be able to be full-time entrepreneurs. Some of them stayed part-time and continue to save that extra money that they're making with us. But get creative with how you can do that, because if you increase your cash flow, it's gonna make it so much easier for you to achieve the financial goals you have for yourself. And especially nowadays with how expensive things are becoming with inflation, it's almost a necessity to have multiple sources of income. Here's rule number 8. Wealthy people understand the power of compound interest, and they know how much value starting small has when it comes to building wealth. So many people that I sit down with, and it's usually people who didn't get this information, who weren't educated on these topics, like many of us weren't, that go, Nima, I can't invest because I don't have money. And I ask them, well, what do you mean you don't have money? How much money are you thinking? And they always give me a big number, whatever a big number is to them. But most people think that they need hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. And they think that if they start with $100 a month, with $200 a month, with $50 a month, it makes no difference. That's so wrong. I'm telling you, $50 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month, $300 a month might not seem like much. But if you put that in an investment calculator and you see the effects of compound interest, that's how most people build a retirement. So don't undermine the power of starting small. And one of the things that I loved, it was a quote that I heard from Jim Rohn. He said, start donating 10 cents out of a dollar. Because if you can't donate 10 cents out of a dollar, you'll never donate $10,000 out of 100,000 or 100,000 out of a million. See, the idea is, if you don't put the habit in place, it doesn't matter how much money you make. And it's the same when it comes to saving. You gotta start saving when you don't have much to save, because most people think, well, if I make more, I'll definitely be able to save more. Yes and no. There's a lot of people that increase their income, but they also increase their spending with it because they don't have the habit of saving. They don't understand the value of investing. So the more money they make, the more they increase their expenses. That's why the statistic shows people that make millions of dollars are more likely to go bankrupt than people that don't. That makes no sense. How could someone that makes that much money be more likely to go bankrupt than someone that doesn't? Because they start leveraging their money. They start getting a bunch of mortgages. They start lending people a bunch of money. And before they know it, the money's gone. And like, where the hell did it go? Because they never had the habit of saving. So please, 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 if there's one thing you take away from this video, here's what it is. Start now, even if it's a small number. Even if you have to start with $25 a month, start saving $25 a month and get into that habit. And when you make more, you can increase that savings. Rule number 9, and this is a rule that's so important for you to understand, and it relates to what I just said in number 8 about saving and starting small. Understand the value of time when it comes to building wealth. There's 2 things that make major differences when it comes to our investment efforts. The rate of return that we get on our investments and the time that we give to that investment for it to grow and for the compound interest to apply to it. I have a chart here, and I'm gonna put this on the video somewhere here for you to see, but here's what the chart is showing. I have three scenarios. Scenario one is a 20-year-old that saves $200 a month. Scenario two is a 25-year-old that saves $200 a month. Scenario three is a 30-year-old that saves $200 a month. In this hypothetical example that I'm showing here, each individual is getting 10% return. So the rate of return is the same, the amount of money that they're putting monthly is the same, and the duration of time, meaning they're all going until the age of 65. That part is the same. The one thing that is different is when they started. The 20-year-old started 10 years earlier than the 30-year-old and 5 years earlier than the 25-year-old and so on. Now, if we look at the numbers here, in the Plan A section, the 20-year-old invested a total of $108,000. Assuming a hypothetical return of 10%, they ended up with $1.8 million at the end. Scenario two, the person invested $96,000. Obviously, they invested less because they started 5 years later. But how much less did they actually invest? $12,000. That was the difference. But even though they only invested $12,000 less, they ended up with almost $700,000 less at the end. And scenario three, the person invested $84,000 because obviously they started 10 years later than person A, and they started 5 years later than person B. But the difference between their investment from person A is $24,000. Okay, it's a little bit of money, but it's not that much money that you would imagine make that much of a difference. But the difference is $1.1 to $1.2 million. That's a whole retirement difference. Could you ever have imagined $24,000 difference in investment will make this level of difference over time? Most people can't. But this is why time is so valuable when it comes to building wealth. So that's why you need to start small. You need to start as soon as possible. If you're 35 listening to this, you're fine. It's better than being 65. If you're 55 listening to this, you're fine. It's better than being 65. If you're someone that's 20 listening to this, you might be jumping up and down right now because you're like, man, I got this information at the right time. Perfect. Start now and even start small. But understand the effects of time on wealth is so, so huge. Here's one line I want you to remember when it comes to this concept. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. So many individuals, especially young people that are on these social media platforms and seeing all this, BS, I'm sorry, but it's BS in my opinion of, oh, buy this stock or buy this Bitcoin, it's gonna go to the moon, you're gonna get rich quick. They forget that it's not about timing the market, it's about timing the market. Sure, if you wanna put a small amount of your money and take risk and gamble and things like that, that's up to you, that's your decision. But make sure a large amount of your money, majority, 95% of your money is being invested in the market and having the time that it needs to grow and build the wealth for you that it requires. And if those gambling stuff that you're doing pays off, good for you. If it doesn't, then you got that 95% that is building up and that you got for your retirement, so you don't have to panic and worry if you lose all your money in that thing that you saw on social media that was gonna go to the moon and ended up going to the ground instead. Here's the last rule that wealthy and rich people follow that so many individuals don't understand the importance of. They change their associations because they understand that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most and you spend the most time with and you associate with the most. And I've said this in a lot of my videos, but it's so important, so I gotta repeat it in this one. The fastest way to change is to change the people you're associated with. And if you get around people who understand how money works, if you get around people who understand how to build wealth, it's gonna be so much easier to make some of those decisions. You're in a position where you're constantly tempted to buy that watch or buy that car or go spend that money at that club. It might be because the people around you keep pushing you towards that direction. They keep making you feel bad for not having the watch or for not having the car or for not spending the money at the club. So maybe you need to get around some people who have a different mindset, who go, you know what, bro, I don't think you should buy that watch for $80,000. Maybe you should put that money in this kind of investment and you'll have this much return at the end, and the return that you get from it will pay for the watch and da-da-da. Maybe that's the type of association you need. Maybe you need someone that goes, you know what, man, maybe you shouldn't spend that much money on that car. Put that money in this instead. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have emotions, and we are affected by the influence around us. And here's one thing I want you to remember. Your willpower will never outdo your environment. So you need to make sure you have an environment that sets you up for success. And if you don't have those people around you, that's fine. Watch videos like this. Get connected with people who watch videos like this. When you start to speak the language that those people speak, they become attracted to you. So the more you expose yourself to content like this, to personal development, to personal growth, the easier it is for you to speak that language and for you to attract those people. A lot of you might be wondering, Nima, I love this video, I love these concepts, but I still wanna know how I can make more money so I can apply it. Perfect. Watch the video here, 10 lessons that made me millions in business. It's gonna take you to the next level when it comes to the mindset and skill set you need. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time you have a new video. Comment below what was your favorite tip from today's video, and share this with anyone that you think can get value from it and can take these concepts and apply to their life. Thank you. Bye-bye.